Well, you know what they say, third time is a charm. So I'm going to try to record this video for you a third time. And frankly, I'll try to keep this the fastest one yet because all of them gone over 10 minutes have been way too long, anyways. So just getting straight to the point, what did you present me? You presented me a few different things the other day. And the way I interpreted it was as follows is that you had an observer that would have a referred student they were observing for 30 minutes, and they would have a comparison student they were observing for 30 minutes. During the 30 minutes, they would have to watch and review, a handful of different activities from each student and see if they had problems in those areas, if once for every minute. So, essentially had a huge data table for that. If so, they had what was an observer log, and you could see in the observer log those pieces of information that we're talking about here. Um, so in column A, I've got besides the top information the observer would track, which the observer's name, certification area, et cetera, et cetera. Those are things you talked about. But when they got down to recording the student, you've got the minute that they're recording. I've got an approximate time. So when did that happen approximately? Obviously, there's a date up here that those things would tie together. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But you've got all of these different activities that they're recording, once for each 30 minutes. So if you come down here to the table, you'll see there's a row, empty row. We're not observing anybody yet for observations for each minute. And then what you also showed me was okay, once the observer takes that information, then they have to fill out another report, that would show basically some snapshots of what each 10 minutes looked like, some information with the behavior checklist for them, all kinds of stuff, for the observer, frequencies, how often did it happen, et cetera, from the data table. So I've got an auto report for us that will auto populate a report without touching anything, so to speak, quote, quote, from the observer log. And again, this is just to show you some opportunities what you can do with this information. So again, the observer log can go in here and just like they did before, select and put stuff in here. But what I noticed from this observer log is that it's super monotonous and not user friendly. Obviously, it would be very easy to select another cell and do something wrong. So, like we talked about, we want to make this report repeatable, consistent for the observer. I also wanted to take the eyes from the spreadsheet, trying to look here every single minute for, each one of these tasks through the referred student and through the comparison student, then add a note. I think your head's down on the spreadsheet the whole time, or it would be super easy to miss something. So what I decided to do instead was create a spreadsheet, an observer tool, so to speak, that would enter in this information that they could just use as the observation was going. And frankly, you could just pay attention to the student. If you fell behind, the tool knows what observation you ended at and how to get caught up. And it won't let you speed ahead without saving a note, so to speak. So we'll kind of get into that. So let's go over here to the Start Here tab. And, I left you some notes in here. I think it's important, but I don't want to bore you with me reading it. So just getting right into it, you're going to go to the Start Here tab and hit press to start observation. And you should see a user field pop up. And again, if I'm going to start an observation, I have to know who the observer is. So that's Michael is the observer. Now, who's the referred student? Me and myself. Who is the comparison student? Irene. Certification area, bullshit certification. And observation date, it already knows it's 4-1. Again, for the sake of conversation, if we hit press to start observation, it knows it. We're doing this April 1st. So School of Hard Knocks, everybody knows that. Trust me, I was a master wizard in that school. I think you were as well. Teacher's name, let's go Chaz or Chazzy for short. Class activities, hard knocks, hard knocks. Class activities, whooping that ass. Whooping that ass. Okay. We're going to hit save and start. And the next thing you're going to see is a prompt interval. Again, you want to review the student every 60 seconds, but this is basically saying how often do you want the observation tool to notify you an observation is due? Well, again, at least once every 60 seconds if I was using it. But for the sake of task, I don't want to wait a full 30 minutes to get through these things plus. So let's just say pop up every second. And you're going to see what that means. So hit 1 second and I'm going to hit OK. And as soon as I hit OK, it's going to say, do you want to start a new observation session? This will clear the prior minute entries in the observer log. So if I was able to jump over to the observer log, as we saw before, there's no information in it. But if there was, this would delete any prior information. So if you were happen to share something that had saved information or anything, the observer would be completely erasing the information. At least that's the intent of the tool. I think I found some areas where it wasn't quite right, but that's conversations we can talk about later. Again, does the tool work kind of like we were trying to do so you could see it? There's absolutely going to be some issues in calculations, things of that nature, but does it kind of give you an idea what we're trying to do? And that's the point. So go ahead and hit yes here. This will clear the prior minute entries in the observer log. Hit yes, and then you're going to see another user field pop up. This is the first observation prompt. So the observation prompt for the observer. We're in minute 1. We just started. Check each box only if the appropriate behavior was observed, unchecked if 0. So again, we don't want them to miss an opportunity noting and saying that we track these things, et cetera, et cetera. This is all information, but we don't want them sitting here clicking a bunch of stuff and wasting their time. So if this was minute 1 and I was watching the 2 students here and I observed nothing, it just went as intended. And not that I even know what that is. Just for the sake of conversation, let's say there's nothing to check here. I'm not going to add a note down here below and click to add that note. I'm not going to do that because, again, I haven't observed anything. But for the sake of conversation, I wanted to show you how you can also prevent someone for adding blank notes for the teacher to read when this is all said and done. Again, I've got an automated report. I don't want you reading through a bunch of gossip that doesn't matter. This gets you directly to the point, when it happened, what time was it, et cetera, et cetera. It'll attach it to the minute 1 of the prompt. So that's important, but let's go ahead. We didn't observe anything. Let's hit submit minute. And again, minute 2 popped up. And why did that pop up so quickly? Well, we hit 1 second. So these minutes are going to pop up every second, so to speak, because that's what we told it to do. So you can see I'm climbing minutes here, minute 5, minute 6, minute 7. I'm going to see, I want to go over here to the observer log. If I can get the button in time, submit. Submit. Oh yeah, got it. Now when I pop over to the observer log, you can see we're in minute 8. And now I'm starting to get some data in the observer log. So first off, right at the very top for the observer log, we know the referred student was me and myself. We know the school was Hard Knocks. Irene, Master Wizard, Chazzy for the teacher. We know, let's see, oops. This is hard with no mouse. All right. We know what time it was started. It's not going to let me select that. But you can see as I keep hitting submit, this information is filling over in these rows that are empty. So if I look down between row 21, minute 11, because again, minute 11, I can see a approximate time here. So what is that saying? So again, the spreadsheet knew that we started the date, but it also knew the time. So the approximate time for the first minute was 11:11. And then again, I can't scroll up, I'd show you, but it knows that. It also timestamps it in the spreadsheet. But it knows if I was going to have my first observation minute at 11:11, there's no way I'd have another observation at, let's say, 11:14, which is what time it is right now. I wouldn't have 10 observations into that point, so it's only been 4 minutes. So it knows that, and it's going to track approximately where that minute is. And that's important for, like I said before, if the observer falls behind. So for example, if the observer happens to notice the student was not remaining in their seat. So what happened? So I'm going to add a note here in minute 11. Maybe there was kids screaming in the hallway happened before. What was the behavior? He jumped up. Jumped up. Consequence, if any, slapped a bitch. Oops. Slapped that kid. And comment, not sure it worked. Comma, but he sat down. All right, we're going to hit submit. And as soon as I hit submit, I can see right behind me some notes jumped up here. So again, 11:21. I did have a remaining seat incident. So boom, we got one right off the bat. We had kid was screaming. So for the sake of conversation, let's just say kid's up. The kid was screaming. Oh, the kids were screaming in the hallway. Kid jumped up. I slapped him. He sat down. We jumped into minute 12. You know what? He said, "Screw you. I ain't doing anything." So we're just going to say he started jumping up and acting a fool. But again, like I said, what's important for this tool is that observer doesn't have to come right back at minute 12 and say that. So he slapped the kid. Kid lost control for the next 10 minutes. He lost control. And he's just going to try to work him down. He could come back and these prompts will be saved for him. So he could just say following directions. He's going to add the note. He's going to have to add the note. This is important. What's going on? I slapped him. Behavior. He acted a fool. Consequence. Started kicking. Still working on it. Through the minute. All right, so you can see I can go ahead and say the other kid started jumping up too, just for sake of conversation, remaining seated. Hit submit. We got that information tracked. Now we see that minute 12, that's what happened. But these piled up, right? Isn't that what I said? All right, so let's go ahead and just go ahead and save those students. So minute 12, we're going to make some notes in here. Same as before. SAB. And I do have them have to put a note in each section. You can change that, but they have to do it now just to submit. So same as before. Maybe things are starting to get better. The comparison students sitting back down, but we still got same as before, same as before, same as before, same as before. And like I said, this goes through every minute through the second 20 minutes there. SAB, you know me. Okay. And I hit submit, and I'm going to say magically the kids start acting good again. So we're just going to go through this. And again, time is important. I'm going to go ahead and just get this to the very end so you can see once we are done here through these reports, and you can see them falling up through there. Once we've observed all 30 minutes, we are on minute 29. Minute 30 of 30. Once we've observed all 30 minutes, it's going to say observation complete. Review the auto report. And again, I got it jumping over auto report. We could change that. Maybe you don't want the observer going on the auto report. Whatever. We can fix on that. But it's just another automation where we can keep things streamlined the same, no changes. But it jumps over to the auto report. So let's hit OK. And then the auto report. Again, the observer can talk about this, the report status. It says ready to finalize. Maybe we wanted to change that to, hey, teacher, observe, whatever it may be. It's got a couple of different things in there, but since we finished 30 minutes, it's ready to finalize. I don't know if I deleted something in here. Maybe it wouldn't. Nope. Okay. I haven't said everything in here, but it doesn't matter. Consequences. We got it. We showed where it's at. We showed the grouping of them. You can see nothing in the first minute, nothing in the last 30 minutes, everything in the middle. You can see responses in here. I think that was before. But these are all automated populated things that you can go in there and select on some of them if we wanted to. change the list box, all kinds of stuff, but just an automatic report. And hopefully you can see where this ties into other things. If you had a master data table, I would then have the new data tracked pulled into the new master data table automatically for you as well. And that's just things that we can talk about. So again, video's getting kind of long. I really hope this one worked because I've been making a lot of videos that haven't been working. But I love you. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you get a chance to see this tool. I hope everything else is going well. Take care. Love you. Bye.